Live. It is Fight IQ presented by RotoWire, a bonus episode, if you will. 2 fight cards to talk about. Tough 28 finale from that's in Las Vegas, right, guys? You know what? I should have known that. From Las Vegas, Nevada, and UFC Adelaide Saturday night, a fight night card in Australia. Our main events: Kamaru Usman taking on Rafael dos Anjos, and then we have Tuivasa taking on Junior Dos Santos here on Fight IQ. We're going to talk DraftKings. I'm your host, the Daily Fantasy Sniper, the analyst of Fight IQ, Joe, Sun Tzu, and Chris Olsen. Guys, how you doing? Two cards. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for all these picks?
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I just can say I am. I'm a little worn out from tape study, but I'm ready to go. Another hour won't kill me, probably. So here we go. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Good for you. Let's do it.
All right, let's get to it. So what we're going to do, guys, before that, I apologize. I have to shout out our sponsor, RotoWire. Make sure you go into rotowire.com/free 10-day free trial to all their usually paid content, articles, optimizers, picks, cheat sheets, for all sports, season-long, daily, MMA, NFL, NBA, all this stuff. Make sure and check that out. I'll also, as I always do, I'll plug our Twitters. I'm at the DFS Sniper with one S. Chris is at Real Chris Olsen. Joe is at Sun Tzu. What we're going to do for this card, guys, we're going to, for the tough card, the contests are not very good. But we have DraftKings MMA, so that's a win.
And there is a survivor.
And there is a survivor. It's only 5,000. It's also, in my opinion, not very good.
Do we even know what the top pay line is on that? I couldn't find it.
We don't know the payout. So survivor.
How do you list the contest for 2 days and not tell people what the pay line is? Because I was looking for that myself and I couldn't find it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. So if you want to play that, where you advance to you play Friday, you finish in the top 500 out of 1,200, you advance to some kind of tournament on Saturday. For the Saturday card. But for the Friday fights, I'm going to give you the odds, the prices. I'm going to kick it around to these guys first. We're going to go your pick and one sentence why. Chris, I'm looking at you, Chris. One sentence.
I'm going to do my very best.
I'm just going to cut you off.
That's probably for the best, yeah.
We will do a full breakdown on the main event, though, which I think is the best fight of the entire weekend in Usman Dos Anjos. So, that being said, let's get into the tough 28 finale. Start off with Raoni Barcelos, 9,500. Chris Gutierrez, 6,700. Barcelos minus 450. Gutierrez plus 400. Chris, one sentence. Pick. Who you got?
Barcelos is better everywhere, and he's more aggressive, and he's probably going to knock him out. Barcelos' pick.
Joe.
Barcelos, but Gutierrez is an interesting long shot, and I would have a few shares of him on DK.
Barcelos everywhere. Only concern is, can he be the highest scoring fighter to end up on the optimal? Don't like
moving up in weight. Moving up in weight, by the way.
Barcelos is moving down in weight.
I'm sorry, moving down in weight. Right.
I like it. I don't think that affects him, but we'll talk about that his next fight, which he will have. All right. Tim Means, the Dirty Bird, 9,400, taking on Ricky Rainey at 6,800. Line on this fight. Tim Means minus 355. Comeback on Ricky Rainey plus 320. Joe.
Rainey is practicing. Would you like to supersize your order? Tim Means.
Yeah, I got Tim Means by however he wants, probably stand up, late finish. Chris.
I am picking Tim Means for the crisper boxing and the better footwork, but I think Rainey and his Muay Thai is live to a win.
Ooh.
Barf. Ricky Roosevelt Roberts, 9,200, taking on Daryl Horcher, 7,000. Roberts is the favorite, minus 300. Come back on Horcher, plus 270. I like Roosevelt Roberts. He's my favorite play on the card. Horcher once had a close fight with Devin Powell. Chris.
Yeah, I like Roosevelt Roberts as well. He's going to look to get takedowns, and Horcher gives him up. But he's very untested, and Horcher hits hard, so don't completely sleep on him, but the pick is Roosevelt Roberts.
Joe.
Roberts, although he's my least favorite play in the upper tier, I much prefer Tim Means.
Disagree. I like the grappling, but I get it.
Yeah, well, we know.
We know I like grappling. Julia Stolarenko, 7,300. She's a dog against Leah Letson, 8,900. Letson the favorite, minus 205. Comeback on Stolarenko, plus 165. Chris, I know you watched every second of Tough Heavy Hitters. Who you got?
This was actually my least watched season. I just couldn't get into it. I did watch for this fight, but and that doesn't count as my sentence, by the way, because I was responding to you. So here we go for my sentence. My sentence is Letson is the better fighter everywhere, but opponent is a wrestle grappler, and she's going to be selling out for them. So that could be valuable, but the pick is Letson.
Joe.
Letson all day, every day.
I'm going to do better than one sentence. One word. Agreed.
There you go.
Next up, Maurice Green, 8,700, taking on, I always get this guy's first name wrong, Michel. Keep wanting to call him Marcel, and all kinds of stuff. Michel Batista at 7,500. Green is obviously the favorite, minus 215. Batista plus 170. Joe, I know you watched every second of Tough Heavy Hitters. Who you got?
I didn't watch every second, but I would lean to Green.
I like Green a little more than that, but all the three of the four tough fights, with the exclusion of the last one, are great GPP fights. Give me Green. Chris.
Batista coming in here with an Olympic wrestling pedigree, but
only a bronze.
Only a bronze. Excuse me, but stiff, straight up striker. Maurice Green has got kickboxing experience. He was a former Glory fighter. Maurice is the pick, but again, don't discount Batista entirely.
Alex Perez, 8,200, taking on Joseph Benavidez at 8,000. Benavidez, the dog, plus 110. Perez up to minus 130. Before I give my pick, my thought on this, which I'm going to insert because I'm the host. What is this fight doing so low on this card? This should be on the main card. Anyway, give me Perez. I think it's a passing the torch fight. More aggressive. Don't think Benavidez can get a takedown. Give me Perez at minus 130 in a crucial mid-range fight. Chris.
Yeah, I'm going with Perez as well. I just think that Benavidez leaves himself too open, and Perez is a good aggressive striker. Perez lands takedowns of his own, and like you said, I don't trust Benavidez to wrestle committedly all that time, so give me Perez.
Joe.
Benavidez so overshot his skis by snagging Megan Oliveri. I wouldn't get out of bed to train, never mind fight. Give me Perez.
I knew you were going to bring that up. How did I know you were going to bring that up?
It's just, what a way to ride off into the sunset when he retires.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kevin Aguilar, 8,400, taking on Rick Glenn at 7,800. Aguilar the favorite, minus 115. Glenn, minus 105, so it's a very small favorite. I think for this one, we're up to Chris.
I can't believe I'm going to do it, but I think I'm picking Rick Glenn.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be really aggressive and come out swinging against the too passive Aguilar, who does have power, but I think Glenn's going to control this fight and take the win.
Joe.
Give me the alpha male dog, Rick Glenn.
God, we're all picking Rick Glenn. I'm gonna vomit.
That's
oh my
terrible.
God. That can't be good. But yeah, give me the experience of Rick Glenn. But holy crap, I can't believe that just happened. Antonio Shevchenko, 9,300, taking on Ji Yeon Kim at 6,900. Kim missed weight today. She is the underdog, plus 260. Comeback on the older but new MMA fighter, Antonio Shevchenko, at minus 290. Joe?
Give me the by far hotter Shevchenko sister, Antonina. I will take her. I do not recommend this necessarily as a DK play, unless she can get to. Yeah, I'll take Antonina. That's it.
Yeah, I like Antonina. I have a bet on her to be the better stand-up striker. DraftKings Kim is a viable cash punt. I do think it goes to a decision. As Joe would say, for DraftKings, this is a better betting fight than for DraftKings. But Kim's an okay punt. Shevchenko wins the fight. Chris?
Who knew all this time that this is how Joe was picking these fights? That's a good insight. But I'm going to go with Shevchenko as well. I mean, Kim is just way open to leg kicks and kicks in general. Antonio Shevchenko's got the Muay Thai. I like her. I think she could potentially get a finish as well. So I'm not completely fading it, but Shevchenko.
I do want to mention that Rick Glenn did miss weight. Somebody pointed that out in chat. I'm not too worried about it.
I did not know that. How badly?
I think 2 or 3 pounds.
Okay. Well, the more the better.
All right. Next up is Edmund Shabazian, 8,300, taking on Darren Stewart at 7,900. Shabazian minus 115, Darren Stewart plus 105. Shabazian's never been out of the first round. I think he will get out of the first round in this fight and give me Stewart to pull an upset. I think he wins late with the grappling. I will never pick someone ever who was coached by Edmund Taverdian.
And managed by Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, give me a great GPP fight. I'm not fading Shabazian, but the pick is Stewart. Chris?
Yeah, Shabazian comes forward and is aggressive and has power, but Stewart has actually really improved his kickboxing lately, and I just can't trust. I haven't seen enough of Shabazian, so Stewart's the pick.
Joe?
The Armenian Flash, opponents he has beaten, record of like 17-200. No, 17-34, actually. Give me Darren Stewart here.
Pedro Munoz, 8,800, taking on Brian Caraway at 7,400. Munoz is the favorite, minus 215. Come back on Caraway, plus 195. Can someone explain to me why Caraway fights always get lined so ridiculous? Chris, you start, though.
Because no one likes Brian Caraway, I guess. But
just because he got to do Misha Tate, everybody hates him. I don't get it.
Yeah, well, but also he's kind of just like a douche.
Oh, he's a douche. He is a douche. Yeah. That's fair.
But anyway, yeah, you know, I have a little bit of worry about Munoz's striking defense. I think he gets tagged up a lot, but ultimately, I think his pressure and pace and power for the division is going to be enough to take it here. So I'm going Munoz.
Joe?
I actually feel sorry for Caraway. I mean, if someone ran over his dog, it would be like just the nail in the coffin. His coach dies. His wife, his ex-girlfriend gets a baby bump by another guy, and his dad has PTSD. I feel a little sorry for Brian Caraway. He's my pick.
Yeah, I'm not going to go with the sorry card. I think he's a good fighter. I don't think he'll fall to a guillotine, and he's a hard guy to look good against. I think it's a close fight. Give me Caraway by 29-28 split decisions.
Ooh, that's very specific. I like it.
All right, it's tough finale time. Pani Kianzad, I guess. I don't know. Against Macy Kiasen, 7,600. Kiasen, though, she's the favorite yet. I think she will become fight time. There's odds value. She's not plus 110. Comeback is the comeback on her. Kianzad is the favorite still at minus 140. Joe, you start this one. Yeah, it's funny. We landed Joe starting the female fight.
So I really like Pansy. I mean, you know, she's got great personality. She was good on the show. But, you know, when I last saw it, she was minus 165 against an opponent who got 2 first-round finishes in the Ultimate Fighter. So I see that the line is tightening up. There is odds value. I am going to go with the dog.
Same. I like the dog for that reason. She's got upside with the early finishes. Kianzad's probably the better all-around fighter, but Kiasen, she reminds me a little bit, this is not a great comparison, of Nico Montano from the last season of The Ultimate Fighter, because no one knew what she was when she got in there. Kiasen's a little bit the same. Give me the dog. I need the odds value here. Kiasen's the pick in a close fight. Chris?
I mean, it has to be said that Kiasen is what, a 2-0 professional fighter. So we can't overlook that. But you know, she's gonna pressure forward, and and come in with her hands down with some wild striking. Prasad is the much more technical striker. I'm gonna take Prasad here to get it done. I don't think she's gonna be overwhelmed by Macy, but if you do think that and the cheap price, then take Macy. But I'm gonna go Prasad.
Juan Espino, 8,500, taking on Justin Frazier at 7,700. Odds in this fight: Espino minus 155, Frazier plus 135. This one is mine. This is a great GPP fight. Give me Espino. Frazier is fat with an overhand left. That's all he got. Espino's not good, but in a better all-around game. Chris?
Yeah, I agree with you. I like a lot of parts about Espino's game, and I don't really like anything about Frazier's game. I think Espino's
I like the amount of food he could eat at Thanksgiving. That's what I like.
I think he's got more ways to get it done here, so give me Espino.
Joe? Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, I got to go with the Roy Nelson lookalike. I'm going to take Frazier here.
Oh,
no. Not only did I know that was the pick, I knew that was the reasoning. I knew the whole analysis there. All right, main event time. We'll give a full breakdown to this one because it's a good one, and I think I get to argue with these guys. I can argue with anybody. I can argue with pretty much everyone in this fight because I'm on the outside looking in. That being said, Kamaru Usman, 9,000, taking on Rafael dos Anjos at 7,200. Usman, it's down. It's coming down a little bit, minus 245, taking on dos Anjos at plus 225. Chris, kick us off.
Yeah, I was going back and forth on this fight. Ultimately, I think I'm settling on dos Anjos here. I understand the parallels. I understand the parallels between Covington and Usman. I don't think it's quite the same thing because I don't think Usman is going to be quite as relentless with his takedowns. By that, I mean
stealing all my thunder. I hate you. I hate you and hate you.
I love going first. It's the best. But what I mean by that is I don't think like if he takes it down and gets back up, then I think Usman is going to be content to strike a little bit and set up the next one. I don't think he's going to be able to go right back into it the way Colby Covington does in all his fights. And I think that RDA is going to be able to pressure him, going to be able to land those slick combinations and to the body and body kicks. And I just think he's the better striker, and I think he's going to get a lot of time to strike. So I'm picking dos Anjos.
Joe?
So, Chris, I think you and I are saying the same thing, but for different reasons. I think
time out. Yeah. I'm calling a quick time out. Are all three of us about to pick Rafael dos Anjos?
No. I meant regarding. I think Usman will actually be able to maintain top control better than Colby Covington. I mean, look, Covington let Brian Barberina get up 10 times. So I don't think there'll be as many takedowns, but I do think he'll get more top control. Now, I don't know that he wants to get into a striking battle with RDA because I think RDA is clearly a superior striker. But, Dan Levy had me cracking up. I didn't know that this line was borrowed from someone else. Nigerian NyQuil, which I just thought was hilarious, and that kind of personifies the fighting style of Usman. I like Usman here, especially, I just don't know that you're going to get the same scoring. Looking at it from a DraftKings perspective, he should get his takedowns. I just don't know if he's going to get the same number of takedowns because I think Usman will do a better job of holding RDA down than Colby Covington did. So I wouldn't completely rule out RDA if Usman falls in love with his hands and decides to strike. I could certainly see RDA catching him with something, but I can't go against Usman here. I just don't know what kind of score you're going to get on DraftKings, given that he's going to play a top control game, and we're not going to see those rinse and repeat takedowns like we saw with Covington.
Okay, so a couple things in this one. I am picking Rafael dos Anjos. It's a really close fight. Usman win won't stun me at all. I do agree that if Usman gets the fight to the ground, he is much stronger than Covington, could hold top position. However, 5 rounds, I don't think Usman – I know Usman cannot push the same pace Covington did. I also don't think he's going to be as relentless with it. I think he's going to have a harder –
Why can't he? Why can't he?
He doesn't have that cardio.
Has he ever? Have you seen him gas out badly?
With that muscle and that frame and just the way I've seen him fight, I don't think he's going to do that. It's not how he wrestles. When Covington and other fights, that's how he goes about his takedowns. Also worth noting, Usman, he had, let me see here. Other guys he's fought is not anybody with exceptional takedown defense. It's really not. Like, obviously, just like everyone didn't want to go to the ground with Damian Maia, not holding that against him. Emil Mech, yeah, okay, that's nice. Knocked out Moraes. Sean Strickland, 2 takedowns and a knockdown. Okay, that's Strickland has some wrestling. Alexander Yakovlev, Charlie Alves. Like, this is going to be the best takedown defense he faces. Dos Anjos also has a legit black belt on the ground. Dos Anjos live to a submission. Not saying that's how he wins the fight. You can't rely on somebody to win off the back in 2018. On the feet, I think the advantage on the feet is pretty pronounced. I think that Usman is way stronger and can knock him out at range at any point in this fight. I think he's going to have a hard time catching RDA. I think he could get forced into some desperation shots. I think on the feet, RDA has enough to outpoint him and win some rounds, as well as be live to a submission. I think Usman will get some takedowns. I think it's an incredibly close fight that's going to be back and forth round per round. And I love RDA's cardio from what I've seen. I'm going to be overly specific. Everyone's picking Usman, just like everybody was picking Blades. Give me 48-47 for Rafael Dos Anjos. An incredibly close fight that for DraftKings, by the way, I'm playing both sides of and stacking in cash.
You know who didn't pick Blades, by the way? This guy.
Yeah, you got it.
That's true. That's true. Fight was stopped a little early, but
come on, he's falling all over the octagon. Come on.
It was stopped a little early, but nothing I'm going to sit and scream and complain about. Just
agreed.
All right.
Agreed.
All right, so that's what we got for the Tough 28 finale. Let's get to the Saturday card. UFC Adelaide, UFC Fight Night 142. Not a really good card, guys. Not something I'm like over the moon about. Like I have dinner plans with the wife on Saturday, and I'm not too upset about it.
I'm trying to think about what I like least, this card or Vegemite.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
I don't know. I mean, it's like I love Australia. I love the Australian people. I could probably even like Adelaide, even though I've never been there. But, man, they did the whole country a disservice by putting on this trash card. I mean, how do you have an Australia card and you don't have Volkanovski, who is their most polarizing fighter?
Yeah.
How do you not have him on an Australia card? It makes absolutely no freaking sense to me. So, yeah, I mean, I honestly do think the tough card is a better card.
Yeah, I agree with that. Although we're going to start the night with an absolute freaking monster. Like, you guys, you may not know this name before Saturday. You're going to know it post Saturday. And I need to, of course, accidentally close the window with all my friggin' salaries. So I'm clearly stalling now, and I ran.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not. So I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear what you say next.
I am, because I really like one of the fighters in this first fight of the night.
Wow.
Damir Ismagulov, 9,500, taking on Alex Gorgees. Both guys making their UFC debut. Ismagulov, M1 champion, I believe. Watch some of his fights. That dude hits like a truck. I really like this guy. 9,500 is a lot for him, but I think he gets the job done pretty handily here. I think it's going to be an impressive UFC debut. He's minus 525 is the line. Fight does not go to decision, minus 150, expecting a finish. Ismagulov wins by KO. TKO is plus 140. I think he gets it done here. I think he's better than Gorgees everywhere, and I really like this guy. I think he is going to be a prospect to watch. Outside of that, I think he goes downhill pretty quick, but I actually like Damir Ismagulov. Chris?
Yeah, I should say Alex Gorgees is one of, I think, 4 or 5 fighters that fought out of the Hex FC promotion in Australia, which to put it lightly, is not a good. The competition doesn't seem very good at all.
Well, you can fade shoot later.
Huh?
You can fade shoot later.
Yeah. Well, having said that, though, I think he's kind of interesting. He has a lot of tools. He's got a decent kicking game. He has good. He punches in combination. He goes to the body. He can even wrestle a little bit. But the problem is he gets hit like a lot. I was going to say very much or a lot. I got stuck in between there, but he gets hit a lot.
Very much.
Yeah, that's right. He likes to stalk his opponents and sometimes put his hands down and sort of mug, and it's just not a great look. And I don't know what his wrestling defense is like because I've never seen it. And opponent is, besides hitting hard and having a good, tight, classical boxing stance, is a really committed wrestler in there, a submission guy. And I just don't know how he's going to do against that wrestling. So I honestly wouldn't fade Gorgees all the way because I think he's an action fighter who's going to push the pace and try to get a knockout. But the pick has to be Ismagulov.
Yeah, I'm fading Gorgees. Joe?
First of all, Chris, are you wearing a wine-colored hoodie with blue strings? Is that what you got on? Okay. Wow. I didn't know they sold those in men's stores. Okay, so I'm going to go here as long as he stays away from tainted kangaroo meat and Vegemite. I have the Russian winning here. 9.5K. He better get a first-round finish. Very expensive, but I will take the Russian here.
Can I just say, and it's not, they're not the same fighters. I understand, but I am feeling some parallel vibes between, who's his name? Tay Edwards and
the guy who fought Alves? No,
Tay Edwards and whoever knocked out Tay Edwards, who was a big dog. I was going to make a point, and now I can't even remember his name. So
yeah.
Don Mage, that's it.
Yeah.
No. Tay Edwards, you stay away from Tay Edwards and Damir Ismagulov, who's a champion, different promotion. No.
All right.
I'm not giving that to you. Christos Giagos, although I will eat plenty of crow. You called that one. Don Mage, you suck.
Yeah.
Christos Giagos, 9,000, taking on Mizuto Hirota at 7,200. Oh, it's depressing to see what's happened to some of these older fighters. We're going to have quite a few older fighters on this card.
Older Japanese fighters.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Giagos is minus 370. Hirota plus 310. Giagos making his return to the UFC, his second stint. This is the second fight. In that second stint, looked decent against Dubronx Oliveira before getting submitted in the second round. Thought he looked fine in the first round as a huge dog. This time he's the big favorite. Hirota's losing decisions to Ross Pearson. Give me Christos Giagos. Joe.
Giagos, I believe, was a short notice fighter for Dubronx. And I'll tell you what, in that first round, when he took Dubronx's back standing, there was a little bit of, I was sweating a little bit on that fight. And of course, Oliveira turned it around. I mean, likely because of cardio. But I kind of like him here. I think he's interesting at 9K. Look, Hirota is a tough MF. So he's going to have to work for it. But I think he's really interesting at 9K. That's my pick to win.
I agree. Chris?
Yeah, I agree. I think that Giagos is pretty good everywhere. He's going to be able to use his length here and I think connect on some of those straight punches and hooks that he likes to throw. He can wrestle. He can pressure. He can also counter fight. Like I say, he does a little bit of everything. And I'm just not sure what Hirota's skill set is at this point. I mean, in the Cole Miller fight, we saw him turn into like a committed wrestler and get like 6 takedowns and win the fight that way. But I just can't expect him to do that with regularity. And if he doesn't, I think he's just going to kind of stand in space and let Giagos kind of pretty much control the fight. So give me Giagos. My only concern, which you guys echoed, is that I'm not sure he gets a finish here, as Hirota is a tough finish. But as far as who wins the fight, the answer is Giagos, I think.
Kai Kara-France, 9,100, taking on Elias Garcia at 7,100. Kai Kara-France is the favorite. and he's a big one, minus 380. Elias Garcia plus 315. Kai Kara-France's good stand-up fighter. Was on a previous season of The Ultimate Fighter. Garcia, to me, is not a guy who should be in the UFC. I think Kai Kara-France is better everywhere. I'm worried about scoring. What's interesting is fight doesn't go to decisions, actually minus 160. Minus 112 for France inside the distance. Smaller guys, I know he hits hard, but I think I'm going to be underweight to the field on this one. Kai Kara wins to me, stand up, pretty comprehensive decision. I'm just not sure about paying off the very large price tag at 9,100. As Joe said, I think I'd rather go Giagos for $100 less. Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I don't think Kara-France is necessarily a good striker as much as he's just an aggressive come-forward striker. He likes to, look for the knockout, throw those overhands. He's got a decent kicking game. But what I noticed watching him on Tough when he lost to Pantoja and then his loss in the regionals to Luis Gomez is that I don't think that he is – I think he knows that he is not good at defending takedowns. You can see how he reacts when his opponent shoots. He just tries to sort of, get to the other end of the cage as quickly as possible. And we've seen Garcia be somewhat of a committed wrestler on the regionals. And he's got a solid jiu-jitsu game. I think I would wager that it's at least more solid than Kara-France is. So I think this is a situation where either Kara-France busts him out early or Elias gets his takedown game going and could potentially get a sub. So I'm going to be underweight to Kara-France as well. I agree with you on that. But I'm going to have a little more Elias Garcia just because I think Kara-France is one-dimensional, and I think wrestling could be kind of a kryptonite here. So it'll be interesting to see.
This is a card where I'm going to be reaching for a couple dogs. The one I'm reaching for is coming up, but I can't hate it because this is a light, a underdog light card.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Look, this is an insane line for a guy who's not exactly a hyped prospect making his UFC debut. I mean, I think, if you're looking at this guy as a contrarian play because he's going to probably be under-owned because of his high price point. But other than that, I mean, I don't see how anyone could be confident betting this fight. I do like that he spent some time at AKA in Thailand. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot of interest in this fight. It's a pretty much a fade for me. I will, because there are only 12 fights, it's hard to completely fade all the fights, but I'll have maybe a little bit of each, but I don't really like either side here. So
can I say though that the only reason I wouldn't really fade this, I think even though the fight's kind of whatever, I think it is voice cracked a little bit. I don't know what that was, but I think it is becoming a man, boys, becoming a man. But
nice. Good to hear.
We didn't even have to burn you. You did it for us.
Burned yourself. Thank you.
It was a preemptive strike, but I think it's a good target just because I think Kara-France comes forward and looks for finishes. I think that's what he does. So I think one way or the other, this fight finishes. I actually think it's a target. So a little bit of disagreement there.
Seriously though, Chris, was that hoodie like designed that way, or is it an irregular with the blue? I've never actually seen a wine hoodie with like blue drawstrings before.
No, I had it specially painted like this. It was
really?
Actually, it was very masculine black, and I was like, you know what? I don't like it.
It just goes against everything else that's white in the background. I don't.
Yeah,
okay,
no,
whatever.
I clash. Clash.
At some point, I should probably get control. This is the host, but
yeah, go for it.
Keita Nakamura, 8,800, taking on Salim Touahri at 7,400. There's a reason why I didn't want to get control of this, because I have to talk about this fight. Nakamura minus 175, Salim Touahri plus 155. Touahri's not good. Nakamura's old as shit. That's the quick breakdown. Nakamura lost to Anthony Rocco Martin. His only wins since 2016 are Alex Morono and Kyle Noak. That doesn't inspire a whole lot of confidence. He did win by submission against Li Jingliang in 2015 in his return to the UFC. Before that, he was out of the UFC for 7 years. Look, this is one where Nakamura should have an advantage. on the ground. He should be able to get this fight to the ground and win there, but he's never been a high output guy. His decision win against Alex Morono, 60 points. Zaleski dos Santos, took him into a war, and he got 52 points with 5 takedowns. While Touahri is not good, I don't think Nakamura is going to finish him, and that makes me want to play some shares of Touahri because, quite frankly, Nakamura is old and on the back end of his career, and at any point the chin could go. As far as GPP goes, Touahri is one of the guys that I'm not happy I'm going to be mixing in, but I'm going to be mixing in a fair amount of him because I'm hurting for dogs, and as I've said ad nauseum now, I don't trust Keita Nakamura anymore. So Nakamura is the pick. He should be able to have enough grappling to get by and win this fight, but I'm more interested in Touahri on DraftKings, and it pains me to say it. Joe?
So I remember because I was on Nakamura as a dog on DraftKings to Noke, and he got a submission with like 1 second left in the first round. So that was like a great win for him. And I don't know if Noke had another fight after that or just retired. But I probably will take a shot with the dog here. Again, I've spent so much time looking at Tough. I haven't really done many lineups, full disclosure, for this Australia card. But, in that you're looking for dogs, I think there are worse dogs on this card than Touahri. So I'm going to actually make that my official pick as well.
Oh, good. You're joining me on the puke bandwagon. I really don't like that I have to do that. I really don't. Chris?
Yeah, no, I shared some of your concerns, like, initially for this fight. I was like, because, Nakamura just sort of hangs back and lets his opponent control the fight, and I hate fighters that do that. So I didn't want to pick him, but I really see nothing in Touahri to like at all. He hangs back as well, which could just make this a really ugly fight if nobody's going to lead. But he hangs back as well and occasionally blitzes forward with some strikes. But, I mean, we saw in his fight with Warlley Alves that he basically did everything that and he was susceptible to Touahri was, to everything that a guy like Keita Nakamura is going to try to do to you, which is kick your body, kick your legs, and wrestle you. And that's basically what Warlley Alves did in the opening round. So, I mean, I don't know. The price point is not great, but I can't trust Touahri. Like, I don't even know what a win of his will look like. Is he really going to, come forward with the blitzing strikes and knock out Keita Nakamura? I don't think he is. And if he doesn't do that, I don't see how else he wins. So give me Nakamura. I think, a finish isn't out of the question because he's so susceptible to the wrestling and so susceptible to the body kicks. Don't forget, Nakamura hurt Alex Morono with a body kick in round 1 of that fight and almost had him out of there. So it's not out of the question. Give me Nakamura, and I'm completely fading Touahri.
Really? How could you fade a guy that trains at Grappling Krakow? I mean, how can you do that?
Oh, well, since you mentioned it, I mean, Grappling Dansk is usually where I like to target my fighters from, but I'll make an exception in this case.
Maybe you could make them team hoodies. I mean,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that'll work.
That's an idea. That's an idea.
I'm calling a foul on that one. Enough with the hoodie. Enough. Ben 10 Nguyen, 8,500, taking on Wilson Hayes at 7,700. Ben 10's the favorite, minus 155. Hayes, the comeback is plus 135. This is another fight where I actually like the dog. Wilson Hayes is Jussier Formiga light. Ben 10 just lost to Jussier Formiga. Wilson Hayes is on a 3-fight losing streak, but it's John Moraga, Henry Cejudo, Demetrius Johnson. Let's give him a pass on some of those. I know he was knocked out by Cejudo, but he had to worry about the wrestling. Ben 10, he doesn't have to worry about the wrestling. Ben 10's been taken down. He's good in scrambles, but he's been scrambled against too. He had that crazy fight against Luis Smolka. Hayes is the black belt. I like the guy who's going to look for the grappling. It's not a slam dunk, but I really do like Wilson Hayes in this fight. I think it matches up pretty well. I think people are reading too much into a 3-fight losing streak against the names that I rattled off. Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to go Hayes here as well. I think the problem I usually have with Wilson Hayes is that a lot of these flyweights are just quicker than him, and they keep distance better, and so they're able to get the better of him on the feet. And you know, if he can't get his wrestling working, and or that isn't enough, he usually drops these fights. But the reason I like him against Nguyen is because I think Nguyen gets caught waiting on his opponents a little too much. And so I think Hayes is going to have opportunities to land striking where he didn't have those opportunities in previous fights. And I also expect him to get his wrestling working. I mean, when he's not stifled, he's actually a pretty decent takedown artist. He's had fights with 6 takedowns, 9 takedowns. He's also had fights with 0 takedowns and 2 takedowns, but those tend to be against opposition that are either better wrestlers or just higher in general. I actually like Hayes quite a bit here. Ben Nguyen actually got clubbed and subbed in his last fight, and Hayes loves to do that. So give me the dog here. Give me Wilson Hayes.
So I have to say that my boy Cody Safrick on Dogger Pass podcast, I am guessing that he never took whatever the Canadian version of AP Geography is, because 1, he said that Ben Nguyen was from Indiana, and 2, he said that Ben Nguyen had a Filipino name. So he is from Sioux Falls, if you remember, he fought on that card. And his name is actually of Vietnamese origin. Be that what it may, I have posted a bet on Twitter, a 3-leg parlay with Perez, Wilson Heiss, and a fighter we will talk about later. So my pick is obviously Heiss here.
Yeah, I'm posting on Twitter as we're talking. I've recorded my own stuff for my YouTube channel, talked about it a bunch today, and I'm actually pulling the trigger on Wilson Hayes as well. He opened at -155. He's all the way up +135 now.
Yeah, that parlay, if you want to tail me, is paying close to 7-1.
So if you want to tail it, go ahead and check out Joe's Twitter. But let's stick to some DFS for now, and let's move on. Oh, man, it just gets sadder and sadder. Alexey Kunchenko, 9,200, taking on the ghost of Yushin Okami at 7,000. Why is Yushin Okami fighting? God. Kunchenko -335, Okami +275. It's still an over. Kunchenko over 2.5 rounds is -175. I have a hard time seeing that. I know Kunchenko went 3 rounds with Worley Alves, didn't have a lot of output. But yeah, Okami's too small for this weight class, over the hill, just tons of issues. Give me Kunchenko, although I am worried about the scoring, especially by odds. But now that I just put that, I'm a little interested in that underline. But give me Kunchenko, and it's sad to see Okami fighting. Joe?
Correction, he actually went to a decision against Thiago Alves, not Worley. And that was not very impressive. I mean, on a Russian card where a lot of guys distinguished themselves, he really laid a dud. So here's my narrative. That 19-0 record that he has is only going to get him so far if he does not get a spectacular finish. So I think the UFC said, go to Australia. We're going to give you this aging Japanese legend and finish him if you want a better fight. So I am going with the Russian here, and I see him getting the finish.
Chris?
First of all, you guys are crazy. The guy just beat Diego Lima, for crying out loud. Show some respect, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Diego Lima.
On.
Yep. Good. You're right. He just beat Diego Lima.
I think Chase Sherman could beat Diego Lima.
Well, he's 100 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, less. I mean, I'm God. We're talking like theoretically here.
Well, I mean, it's funny. I didn't.
I got you with that one. That was good.
I didn't.
That was good.
I didn't know that Kunchenko was fighting on this card last week when I threw shade at him when I said that I didn't like these guys coming over from Russia. I think a lot of them are overhyped in the Fight Nights Global promotion there. And he basically fought that fight against Thiago Alves kind of how I thought. He's a good technical striker, but he just hangs back and has very low output. Yushin Okami, as all you guys said, he probably shouldn't be fighting anymore. I don't know if I go that far.
Take away the probably. Come on.
But all right.
He's not going to be Chuck Liddell out there, but it's not going to be good.
Well, okay. I mean, yeah, no, you're right. But I mean, if that's the standard, you're right. Then but the bar is pretty low. But anyway, look, Okami is going to desperately try to pressure. He's going to pressure the opponent, and he's going to try to grapple and take this to the floor. I think I'm not picking Okami, but I think this might be an interesting dog or pass spot because I don't see Kunchenko getting that value back. I just don't think he's
It would stun you to see Yushin Okami get finished in 2018.
It wouldn't stun me, but I just I don't know. Do we have any evidence that he's overly chinny? I haven't really seen that. I don't think we have really evidence of that. I mean,
the chances of Okami getting finished are more certain than that hoodie is 100% cotton.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, callbacks are the staple of any country pit. So,
This is a rough scene.
But,
and he got knocked out in 2013, 2012, 2011.
I mean, okay, but so what you're saying is he hasn't been knocked out in 5 years. Is what you're saying.
Well, I'm just going by because OSP he just laid under and then he fought Diego Lima.
Yeah, but okay. Well, no, but that's in the UFC. He's had other fights before that. Other than that,
okay. Let's wrap this pick up.
Yeah, let's. Yushin Okami is old. Chris says take a shot because Kunchenko is boring.
Take a shot because Kunchenko isn't going to get value, and Okami's going to try to wrestle.
All right, I guess. Jimmy Crute, 8,700, taking on Paul the Bear Jew. Craig, 7,500.
Here's another Max X guy.
Yeah, Jim Crute minus 260, Paul Craig plus 220. Paul Craig cost me a lot of money last fight. Cost a lot of people a lot of money by getting that literally last second submission against Ankalaev. He needs to get the fight to the ground, but he can't get the fight to the ground. The perfect example of this, and the way I explained it, is the breakdown of Khalil Roundtree and Paul Craig. He's going to wade in, try and get the fight to the ground, and get knocked out. I like Jim Crute here. I am worried in that Jim Crute is a little smaller. He's also his UFC debut, and if the fight does hit the ground, Craig will have the advantage. I just don't think Paul Craig is any good ever, so give me Jim Crute. Who we start with for this one, I think, Chris.
Yeah, I have pretty much the same take as you, as I think most people do on what's his name? Blanked on the name. What is it?
Paul Craig.
Paul Craig, that's it. I also that he doesn't have a reliable way of getting the fight to the ground, except he did have 2 takedowns in that Ankalaev fight, and one of them was he got rocked and it was an emergency, but one of them was an actual reactive shot. So if he's like look at a guy like Louis Smolka who wakes up and goes, okay, maybe I got to get my takedown game working. If he's actually said, okay, I have to integrate some wrestling, that could be a major factor here, especially since Crute, who's a good aggressive fighter and throws in combination, but I think he may be overly aggressive, and so I think those shots could be available for Paul Craig if he decides to do that. Ultimately, I can't trust Paul Craig to be a committed wrestler. If I could, I would pick him, but since I can't, and Paul Craig gets hit way too much and doesn't really have any striking game to speak of, I guess I'm going to go Crute for the knockout, but don't be entirely shocked if Craig turns this into wrestling heavy and gets a win that way.
Nope.
So after Paul Craig's last fight, I went to Google Translator to see how you say in Russian, don't tap shithead, there's only 1 second left. I don't know if you guys have seen the weigh-ins. There's a size discrepancy. I mean, yeah, Paul Craig is just towers over.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
So I am going to go, look, he was semi-impressive on Dana White's Contender Series. He's another Max X guy. To Chris's point, that is a less than stellar fight organization. I'm going to go with the Paul Craig for the upset. Give me the Bear Jew.
Ooh, that will be bad for my wallet. Let's just say that.
You know, it's not. I'm not picking him, but I can't completely hate it, and that's saying a lot for a Paul Craig matchup. I'll say that much.
Sodiq Yusuff, 9,300, taking on Suman Mokhtarian, not to be confused with his brother Ashkan Mokhtarian or Trashcan Mokhtarian. Suman is still a big underdog, plus 425. Sodiq Yusuff, minus 550. Yusuff throws really hard for that division. Look good in Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series fight. Look, these are 135ers, and it's an under. Fight does not go to decision is minus 300. It's Yusuff by knockout. Mokhtarian's only way to get this fight, to win, is to get this fight to the ground and get a submission. I like Yusuff at minus 550. I do, though, think this is another spot where it makes me want to throw up. But Mokhtarian is live. Should he be able to get a takedown? I think he's probably a little better on the ground. Maybe. I know it's a reach here, but he's so cheap that I'm willing to take a few shots. I won't be fading Yusuff. I think he's incredibly likely to get a finish here, but I don't hate punting with Mokhtarian. I think he is my favorite play at 7,000 or under. I like him better than he's my favorite play under 7,200 because you have Hirota, Elias Garcia, Okami, Shogun Hua, Alex Gorgees. I like Mokhtarian better than all of these, and that just shows you how weak the bottom of this card is. It's not pretty. I'll take some shots at Mokhtarian, but Yusuff is my pick. Joe.
This is my most confident pick on the card. The Mokhtarian style of MMA, which is essentially run in circles until you get tired, is not going to work here, as it didn't, at least until round 3 against Benoit, his brother. Just ran around in circles until Benoit finally just looked at him and said, "You're getting tired, I'm going to finish you." I don't think that's going to work because I don't see him having the speed advantage against Sodiq, who trains with Michael Vick and others. James Vick. Michael Vick. Yeah,
what's he learning over there?
He's dog fighting. James Vick and others in Lloyd Irvin's camp down there in Texas. Vic cashed a nice ticket on him in the Contender Series, by the way. So this is my most confident pick. To Sean's point, the only chance that Mokhtarian has is getting it to the ground. And in all honesty, that would be the worst thing he could try to do because he will get clocked and finished shooting for takedowns. So, unless he adopts his brother's, Mokhtarian MMA run in circles technique, this should be a relatively quick finish. My most confident play on the card.
Chris?
Yeah, well, to Gerwin 12's point here, Mokhtarian is in chat. I'm interacting with the audience, okay. But anyway, Mokhtarian is a slick submission guy. In fact, he's got a lot of uncommon submissions. If you bring up
the baseball bat choke, I'm going to throw something.
He's got, not only a baseball bat choke, but he's got a twister. He had a twister in the fight before that. A baseball bat choke is a gi choke. I didn't even know you could do it without a gi. I had to look it up, and it's interesting. I didn't see his fight, but I did see the demonstration. Regardless, Mokhtarian is a guy like Paul Craig that you talked about, where he doesn't have a reliable way of getting the fight to the ground. He likes to sort of wade forward with long, straight punches, but I don't think that's going to be enough against the guy who's as athletic and hits as hard as Sodiq does. When Sodiq gets himself backed up, he kind of has that Thiago Santos defense where he just tries to throw a bunch of hooks to scare you away. But I don't think he's going to have that problem here because I think he's going to be able to control the cage. So I'm going to take Sodiq here, and I think he's probably going to get a finish.
All right, let's move on to Jake Matthews at 8,400, taking on Anthony Rocco Martin. He changed his name, and it's annoying. At 7,800, the aforementioned. I'm just going to call you Tony Martin because screw you. Matthews minus 115. Tony Martin minus 105. Look, I was high on Jake Matthews when everybody else was down on him because he was I think he lost back-to-back fights and he trains out of his dad's garage, which definitely has to change, by the way. That's not good. But he's 23 years old. At the time, he was 5-3 in the UFC, I believe, or 4-3 in the UFC. I think now he's 6-3 or 7-3, somewhere in that range. Looked good. It looked great. The best he's looked against Li Jingliang last time out. Tony Martin, beat Ryan LaFleur last time out. I was all over Martin because I thought LaFleur was old, and he was. And he retired all kinds of injuries. Typically, though, LaFleur and Matthews are the kind of guy that Martin's going to struggle against. We saw it against OAM. Physical freaks, athletic guy, can grapple. I think Matthews will have the grappling advantage here. I like Jake Matthews just to be the better athlete in there, win rounds through a little bit of grappling, some striking on the outside. I think it's a relatively close fight. I just think Jake Matthews is a little better everywhere. I like Jake Matthews at 8,400. Who are we starting with this time?
Chris.
Chris, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it is a tough one. I think I'm going with Rocco here. Rocco is as you say, I do expect Jake Matthews to be the better wrestler, but let's not forget what happened in the third round of that OAM fight, rather, when OAM took him down and almost had to, decapitate himself trying to get out of the Darce choke, and actually got his back taken and spent the rest of that round there. So I think people sleep on Tony Martin's jiu-jitsu. I think it's really solid and slick. And I just like the way he's able to use his range. I like his combination punching. He goes to his uppercut. He goes to the body a lot. And I just like he's got a good kicking game. He actually knocked out LaFleur with a head kick. I just think he's got some more tools in the striking department as far as Jake Matthews goes. I do think it's a close fight. It wouldn't shock me to see Jake Matthews take him down and control him on top. But I mean, you talk about that Li Jinglong fight. I mean, that was sort of a styles make fights kind of thing for me, because a lot of that was Jake Matthews. Was Li Jinglong rushing in and Jake Matthews hitting him with counter shots. That's where a lot of his knockdowns came from. And Tony Martin's not going to give him opportunities like that. I like Tony Martin to fight at a safe distance, to keep this fight competitive on the ground at least. So I like Tony Martin for the dog and for the win.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting fight. I mean, I've always, I've gotten Tony Martin right a lot of times, and I had him last time too. And, the time I think spent at American Top Team is really paying dividends. My fear here is because, Chris mentioned he does have very slick jits. And even though Matthews might be a better wrestler, I don't think it would be the smartest move in the world to take him down, because I could definitely see Tony locking something up. My fear here is that Tony falls in love with his hands. And I don't know that he is a better technical striker than Jake Matthews. I think this is a really interesting fight. This is one of those like 60 one way, 40 the other, 41 way, 60 the other. I'm going to side with Chris here and pick Martin, but
the smart decision.
I would advise also having shares of Matthews. Just the way this fight is priced, it's like 828, right? I would definitely, look to have shares of both guys, because I think this could be a really interesting fight. And I think the winner, as long as it's not a drawn out, like low volume stand-up affair, and there are some takedowns and there is a ground dimension to this, I think this could be an interesting fight. So I'm going to go with Martin, but by a very slim margin.
Yeah, it's definitely the closest fight of the weekend, I think.
I agree.
And a fun one. Justin Willis, 8,200, taking on Mark Hunt, 8,000. Last time you'll see Mark Hunt in an octagon at least. He is the dog. Willis is the favorite, minus 120. Hunt plus 100. Willis does train at AKA. He has some wrestling. We haven't seen a ton of it, but he can wrestle. We know that's what Hunt's kryptonite. We know Hunt's going to look for the walk-off KO. It's one of those fights. Everybody knows the breakdown. It's what's going to happen. I'm going to have both sides of this fight in GPP, not go near it in cash games. Make me pick. I'll pick Mark Hunt because I want to see him leave on a knockout. But if Justin Willis were to take a grappling-heavy game plan and get a win, would not surprise me at all. But I'm going to have a little more on Mark Hunt. Joe? So
if people know anything about me, they should know that anyone who allows Chase Sherman to win a round off them is dead to me. So Justin Willis, after flooring Chase in the first round in Atlantic City, made me sweat, and I did not like that. No one who fights Chase should make me sweat. AKA, he's really an ex-football football player, I believe. He's not like, he doesn't have wrestling credentials, although if someone wants to call me on that, please do the research. I believe he was an ex-football player. I think this is the least competent wrestler that Hunt's faced in a while. I did reference that I did a 3-leg parlay with Alex Perez, Wilson Heiss, and the third leg is Mark Hunt. So that's a 6.92 to 1 at the odds I bet it at parlay. I'm taking Hunt at plus money here.
Chris?
Yeah, I mean it's been a rough road for Hunt. I mean, he lost to one of the greatest heavyweights of all time in his last fight. So I knew somebody was going to catch that. But yeah, look, I actually think this is a really bad matchup for Mark Hunt. The reason I say that is, of course, the wrestling, as you mentioned. Justin Willis has got fast hands for a big man. He's got fast hands. And I think his head movement's pretty good too. And Mark Hunt, like we saw it, and it's almost like a carbon copy of my Mark Hunt breakdowns for his past like 2 or 3 fights. It's just stand around, look for the big shot, maybe throw some leg kicks until his leg stops hurting, and then he stops throwing them. I mean, that's pretty much it. And I mean, that's what you're holding your hat on here. And I think Justin Willis is too deep, has too deep of an MMA game just to get taken out like that. Could it happen? Sure. But I think he's got too many tools. And when you say that it's the worst wrestler Hunt has faced in a while, even if I grant that, I mean, does it actually make a difference? I mean, have we seen any real semblance of Hunt's takedown defense since coming into the Brock Lesnar fight? I mean, we really haven't. And that was 3 or 4 years ago now. So I'm going to take Justin Willis here, and I really think this is a good matchup for him. I'm going to be all over Willis here. I think it's mispriced. I think we're letting nostalgia get the best of us with Hunt, and I really think Willis is the play.
Here's the thing, dude, though. Hunt may actually have the better cardio of the two. I mean, Willis cuts significantly to get down to 265.
Yeah, but
and he was gassing against Chase Sherman.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Yeah, but okay, but is Mark Hunt gonna like push a pace on him that's gonna gas him out, or is he gonna stand there and look for a big shot and throw one strike every 30 seconds?
Friends, don't let friends bet guys who lost rounds to Chase Sherman.
Oh, let it go. Let it go.
Come on.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing you've harassed him enough about this hoodie that you guys clearly aren't friends.
Yeah.
I will say I think I have the best take on this fight in that I don't think it's as one-sided as either you think. I think it's incredibly close, and I think Hunt gets the small lead. But if you have a strong take, it can make you a lot of money on DraftKings because it is a good GPP fight. Oh, I got this one now. There's so much sad stuff on this card. Tyson Pedro, 9,400, taking on Mauricio Shogun Hua at 6,800. Another guy that I wish would just retire, please. Pedro, a minus 440 favorite. Yep, Tyson Pedro is a minus 440 favorite against one of the greatest of all time, Mauricio Shogun Hua. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it. A guy whose UFC wins are Saperbeg Safarov and Paul Craig and Khalil Roundtree is a minus 440 favorite, and he should be. Sorry, Mauricio. Yeah, his only wins. Okay, he lost to Anthony Smith last time out, quick knockout. Beat Jean Vellante in a war. He was in a war against Jean Vellante, not good. He beat, air quotes, beat Corey Anderson in Brazil in 2016. He lost that fight, and that was pretty infuriating because it's the money on Anderson on that one. And he beat Lil Nug. And before that, now we're in 2014 where he's getting knocked out by OSP and Dan Henderson and submitted by Chael Sonnen. Look, Tyson Pedro is just younger, stronger, he's more athletic. He's got a decent ground game submissions. We've seen it. I don't think that Hua can stand in the pocket and trade with them, which is the way he would need to win this fight.
Hua has one distinct advantage over Pedro that I'll go over when it's my turn.
Body fat. Because he's looking a little pudgy now. But give me an experience. Experience clearly. But give me Tyson Pedro at 9,400, and it makes me really sad to say that. Chris, you start us off. No, wait, no,
Yeah.
Joe. Joe, you start us.
Oh.
Okay. So
Sorry.
okay. So the only reason why Pedro is not my most confident pick on the card is because he's got circa 215 Paul Felder IQ. I mean, he must be one of the stupidest fighters in the UFC. I've seen this dude snatch defeat from the jaws of victory on several occasions. There's no way he should have lost that fight against the gatekeeper, OSP. I mean, I think it's more embarrassing than who are getting knocked out by OSP, the way that he lost to OSP. So this, on paper, this should be a layup for Pedro, a layup, if it weren't for the fact that he's got the fight IQ of a turnip. So I'm going to take Pedro here, but like if he gets caught with like elbow while running in for a takedown, or you know, I don't know, who would just like passes wind on him and drops him to the ground, I could see bad things happening to Pedro, but you have to be fairly confident that this is a layup for him and that he's going to take this.
Chris, snap out of your Thursday Night Football. What do you got for us?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, if you see my head turning, that's what's going on. But yeah, don't mind Joe, guys. He always gets a little salty when certain things happen to him. Look, Tyson Pedro has got a kicking game and an overhand. We saw him use both in the fight with OSP. That's how he dropped OSP. He also dropped Khalil Roundtree with an overhand. But look, he's a grappler. That's how he beat Paul Craig. That's how he beat Sabarbek Safarov. So that's where he's gonna go when he's trying to finish a fight, because that's what he knows. Okay, so now Shogun Hua, we know what he's gonna do. He's gonna pressure forward and wing hooks and try to get you out of there. I'm always interested to see how newer guys handle getting pressured like that. Sabarbek Safarov was actually having a little bit of success on the feet before he was taken down, and that scramble ensued, and then the Kimura happened. But who's going to put the pressure on him? And that's always interesting to me, especially since Pedro doesn't have a really deep striking game. So yeah, the pick should be Pedro. I mean, I don't think you can trust to his chin, but it's a test he has to pass. I think that's the way I'll put it. So the pick is Tyson Pedro, and it wouldn't shock me at all to get a finish. But I think who is going to come and fight his fight, and we're going to see what happens.
All right, let's get to it. Junior Dos Santos, 8,300, taking on Tai Tuivasa, 7,900 in our main event. Dos Santos minus 150, Tuivasa plus 130. Second main event, and for me, second straight upset pick. I'm taking Tai Tuivasa, Junior Dos Santos, another Asian guy we have to talk about. The way you beat Junior Dos Santos is with pressure. What is Tai Tuivasa going to do? Pressure. Now, I will concede Tai Tuivasa does not cut off angles of the cage well. Hopefully he's working on that, but it's 5 rounds. Dos Santos, if he's winning the fight, is not going to push some kind of incredible pace. He's become chinny, as most heavyweights do.
Who's Asian, Sean? Who's the Asian? Who are you talking about?
Aging.
Oh, Asian. I thought you said Asian. I'm like, okay, Asian.
Another
got it.
aging fighter we're talking about.
Okay. Got it.
So Dos Santos can be knocked out. He's not going to push a pace on Tuivasa. Tuivasa is going to look to push a pace and be aggressive, and that's where Dos Santos struggles. He can, if he backs straight up like he did against Stipe Miocic, Tai Tuivasa is going to knock his ass out too. Like that's now granted. Now the losses on Dos Santos' record are Stipe, Overeem, Kane. That's different than Tai Tuivasa. It's a giant step up.
And Overeem.
I think I said Reem. But styles make fights. I like the odds. I like picking against an aging heavyweight. I like that Tuivasa is going to pressure here. It's another heavyweight fight that I'm going to stack in cash games. Sorry, Joe, because if Tuivasa is winning, I think he goes under-owned and gets a finish. If Dos Santos wins, it's, in my opinion, probably going 4 or 5 rounds, and they'll score decent. Like I said, though, I like the pressure of Tuivasa. Give me him to pull the upset at 7,900. Chris, take us home.
Yeah, I agree with you, and much more troubling, I think, for JDS. It wasn't just Miocic that did that to him. I mean, even in his last fight with Ivanov, who he was supposed to run over and largely did, to be fair, but he even got in trouble in that fight a little bit by getting back in the cage. Like, I was really curious to see on the comeback after the PED pop if he had fixed that at all. He really hasn't. Having said that, I'm still picking JDS. The reason for that is, look, we saw another heavyweight with this one with deceptively fast hands in a guy who's maybe not known for his fast hands in Andrei Arlovsky. We saw him tag up Tuivasa pretty regularly, and I think that he's going to have to eat a lot of shots before he's finally able to close that distance and get a chance. So if JDS is keeping him at range and tagging him up, maybe he thinks twice before pushing forward to get him behind the two black lines and get him in that space. And I also don't think that Tuivasa's game is very deep, which I also think you alluded to. Like, even if he pressures him back, I mean, what else does he have? Like you said, he doesn't cut the cage. He doesn't really wrestle. So there's no other real threat in there besides like big strikes. Now, can he land them? Yeah, he can. We've seen that before. But a guy with literally like one path to victory, as opposed to like the way better striker, jiu-jitsu guy, if it does hit the mat, even though it probably won't, but if it does, I just see JDS lighting Tuivasa up. So I'm going to take him here. Maybe I'll have a couple shares of Tuivasa just in case the inevitable happens. But I just think when the skill level is this pronounced, I don't think I can hang my hat on one flaw, no matter how troublesome it has reared its ugly head in the past. So give me JDS.
Joe.
I will have some shares of Tuivasa, but I don't think JDS is as shot as, say, Arlovsky, and I think he can fight at range. And I think if this fight goes beyond 3 rounds, Tuivasa may literally have cardiac arrest. I don't know that his cardio is there. So, give me JDS. The one area where I disagree with you, Sean, is I don't know that this will be a high-scoring fight. I don't think either guy is going to get grappling points, and I don't think either is going to throw enough to accumulate a lot of points. So and I think Tuivasa is probably more likely to get the finish. So I think the floors are relatively low on both these fighters. And as much as I'm picking JDS to win, I think the ceiling might actually be higher on Tuivasa, because I think if Tuivasa wins, he does it by KO.
Well, it might be, but I think JDS's floor is generally pretty high because he tends to, in his wins, he tends to land over 100 significant strikes because he always throws in combination.
Fight, I mean, what's he going to score? Like, I think last time he scored 78.
85.
Well, how much?
85, yeah.
85.
Not a lot. I mean, you don't see him with those. Now, and especially if you're talking about stacking. If JDS wins a decision, this will be a horrible stack. You really need Tuivasa to win if you're even thinking about stacking this fight. But anyway, I don't even know if I'm playing cash this card. So, but anyway, I'm picking JDS here.
All right, guys, double feature episode. Let's bring it home with hot takes. Mine's pretty easy. It's basically built itself. Both underdogs in the main events are going to win.
Yeah.
That's my hot take.
Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb here just because.
That's the point.
Yeah. And I think it's going to make your head explode a little bit, maybe. So that'll always be fun. I'm going to say Alec Gorgees gets a stoppage victory over Damir Ismagulov here.
You are out of your mind.
I love it. I knew that was going to happen.
Out of your mind. We can't do these episodes anymore. We can't do 2 cards in one. Chris goes crazy. Joe.
Wow. My hot take is that wine-colored hoodie sales go up after this pod. No, I'm going to wow. Yeah, see, these are such crap. Oof. My hot take will be that. Why don't you go, Sean?
You already did go.
Oh, you gave your hot take. Oh, I'm sorry. You gave your hot take.
Both the dogs, the main event will win. If I want to do a secondary one just to stall for Joe for a second,
Oh boy,
I will say I'm going to throw out 2 hot takes. Wilson Hayes submits Ben 10.
I don't know if that's that hot though.
It's not? All right.
I don't know.
Jimmy
We just
Crute,
saw Ben Nguyen get submitted, didn't we?
Jimmy Crute blasts Paul Craig within 90 seconds.
I don't think. All right. I mean, all right.
No. Let's see.
Joe, have we vamped enough for you? Because Sean's running out. Yeah, come on. Let's go.
I'm throwing out all kinds of crazy stuff here. Let's go with.
I'm going to go with Mark Hunt by finish over Justin Willis.
Oh, that's boo.
It's hot. It's hot as far as I'm concerned because I don't think it's going to happen at all. So.
Okay, how about Paul Craig by submission?
Oh, get the hell out of here!
That's the only way he does win, Joe.
This is crazy.
I don't have great hot takes for these cards.
We're all losing our mind. We've thrown in a bunch of specific stuff. We're contradicting each other in these. So,
yeah.
I do think all the fights we just contradicted each other on, except for Kunchenko, except for Ismagulov, is those are GPP fights. So it wouldn't be crazy.
Okay, somebody in chat is telling me that Wilson Hayes by sub is plus 410. So I'll allow that.
The other thing is what we really need to talk about is how freaking awesome, even without Moicano on the card, that December 8th card in Toronto is going to be. I mean, I'm unfortunate that Moicano did not get rebuffed. However, he is now the alternate should anything happen to either Ortega or Holloway. We'll get to see Moicano in there.
And that's the card we're going to talk about next week on Fight IQ. Thank you for listening to this episode of 2 Cards. Make sure you go to rotowire.com/free. Check out all their usually paid content for 10 days for free. No credit card required. Guys, this was fun. Everybody listening, we appreciate it. Thank you. Good luck in your contest. Guys, I'll talk to you next week.
Fight IQ on Cirrus.
That's right.
Hashtag Fight IQ on Sirius. I like it. John Church, you're my boy. Start that hashtag up for us. Guys, good luck in your contest. We'll see you.
All right.
Hey.